After reading The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, should you read the Silmarillion next? Or is it too difficult of a read for all except the most die-hard Tolkien fans? I recently read the Silmarillion, and I'd highly recommend that you read it as well if you enjoyed Lord of the Rings. While the book's title is about the Silmarils, basically magical gemstones, the book is composed of several different shorter works. The Ainulin Dale is a myth of the creation, and in the Valakenta, the nature and powers of each of the gods is described. The Akalabaith recounts the downfall of the great island kingdom of Numenor at the end of the Second Age, and Of the Rings of Power tells of the great events at the end of the Third Age, which are narrated in Lord of the Rings. We have seen some of that last chapter in the prologue of the Peter Jackson films, when Galadriel is narrating.
But they were all of them deceived, for another ring was made. In the land of Mordor, in the fires of Mount Doom, the Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring to control all others. And into this ring, he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life. One ring to rule them all.
The book can enhance your knowledge of Middle-earth and give context to certain elements that appeared in the trilogy. For instance, what the Undying Lands are, the importance of Galadriel's Phial, why Grond is named after Morgoth's hammer but looks like a wolf with a fiery mouth, where orcs came from originally, the origins of Gondor's White Tree, and why Aragorn being part of the Dunedain is a big deal. I will admit that some parts of this novel were a little dry, but nowhere near as bad as academic reading because the events take place within a fantasy world. If you read 10 to 20 pages a day, you won't burn yourself out on this lore-heavy book that was pieced together from Tolkien's notes. Especially near the beginning, a lot of the book was like, famous elf goes here, creates the city of blank, marries this person, and his son became the king of blank. These places may be important locations you've heard about, like the Númenóreans creating Minas Tirith. At the same time as these location descriptions, there were also a lot of action-packed chapters. There's the battle against a dragon, a heist for some gems, and an epic battle against Morgoth. Here's just some guy describing it briefly.
And I fell in love with the books, especially the Silmarillion. My favorite scene is when Fingolfin challenges Morgoth, and it plays out like an anime battle. Go and read it, and then imagine it's drawn by the guy who draws One Punch Man. Perfection.
If you read this, you'd better like Elves, because the majority of the book focuses on the elves from the time of the creation of the earth to the War of the Ring. Because of this, there are many Elvish words that you may need to take a few seconds more to try and figure out the pronunciation while reading, but for some words there's a guide in the back. For instance, all Elvish words use a hard C, such as in the name Celebrimbor or Círdan the Shipwright. Yes, there are obviously humans, dwarves, orcs, dragons, and balrogs too. There's some Shakespearean-esque tragedy, whether that's from kinslaying elves or people cursing each other's families with misfortune. This adds to the drama of the novel, and it's interesting to see how events play out from different perspectives when viewing one character and how their decisions affected others or themselves much later. And because this is a Tolkien book, there are of course some poems and songs, but it's less than in The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings because this is more of a lore and history book and not one cohesive story told by the hobbits. Something that you might notice when reading this book is that the number 7 appears again and again, such as 7 male and female Valar, 7 slashes against the antagonist, 7 dwarf lords, etc. I believe that this is due to Tolkien's Catholic influence and the number 7's importance in religion. Depicted in this book are some of the fantastic works that can come about through the alliance of humans, elves, and dwarves, and it even shows how their relationships grew apart further over time to where we've seen it in Lord of the Rings, and why the relationship between Gimli and Legolas is such a big deal.
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
I could do that.
Something that surprised me when reading this book is the sudden mention of other classic mythological creatures, like werewolves and vampires. I found this to be rather interesting and not something that I'd seen in Middle-earth before. This novel gives further insight into the power of Sauron, his deception, shape-shifting, and being a master manipulator. If anything, you fear him more after reading this book when you see his power at full strength, compared to Lord of the Rings where he's building power but needs the ring to complete his strength. And there you have it. Those are my thoughts on if you should read the Silmarillion or not, and some insights that I gained about Middle-earth as a result of reading this book. Thank you everyone so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please do give me a like and a sub, because that really helps me out. And I will see you all in my next video. Goodbye.